It started in 2000. Well, it actually started with my kids. I hated history when I was growing up.
Really?
Hated it.
I
Hated
cannot
it.
believe
'Cause it's
that.
I
all,
know.
I
Oh my
just cannot believe
gosh.
that at all.
oh, did you like history?
A little,
You know,
yeah, I
memorize
did.
the names and the dates and where the battle
And,
was.
and weirdly enough, my 14-year-old daughter, she loves it. That's like her favorite subject. It's crazy. But yeah, so I'm
Well,
surprised that you didn't. You're
yeah, no,
so,
I hated it.
like,
And
you're
my
like an
kids hated
encyclopedia of
it.
it.
Well, because I learned to love it. Because I
Yeah.
learned, the word history has the word story in it.
Yeah.
Why
yeah.
aren't we focusing on the story
It's a great
of
point.
history?
Yeah.
And if you do that, then forget about the dates. It was 1791. No, it was 1792. Okay, nerd. Argument. Stop. I don't care.
Yeah.
What was the argument about? Which side won? What did they do with it? What did the losers do walking away? What happened? Why did this come up? That's all a human story. And when you focus on the human story, it's so much better. I could tell you, they tried to teach us George Washington chopped down the cherry tree and he couldn't
Yeah.
tell a lie and he had wooden teeth. None of those things are true. Let me tell you two stories. First, he didn't have wooden teeth. By the time he was president, he lost his last tooth. His teeth were rotting out of his face. He had for a while a metal contraption in his mouth that looks like something that Steve Martin would have been installing in Little Shop of Horrors. Okay, it was horrific. Okay?
Oh my gosh.
And the reason why his paintings of him always has this kind of mouth kind of like this is because he was trying to hide. He was so embarrassed by his teeth. And so when he became president, he was so embarrassed by himself that he wanted to do something. So he went for the latest thing, which was drilling holes in your gums
Oh my
and
God.
then implanting teeth in there in hopes that they would grow.
Oh my
Now,
gosh.
Right? No anesthesia, nothing.
Gosh.
And so it takes this guy who, wooden teeth, what does that say anything about? That's not even true. Why?
Yeah.
This takes a guy who is a giant among men and humbles him. He's embarrassed by his own looks. And because he believes the president should look a certain way and be distinguished, he goes through that.
Oh my gosh.
Now that's a much better story than wooden teeth.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Never tells a lie.
If you are a person like us that does not get enough fruits and veggies throughout the day because it's impossible to get the amount of fruits and veggies they tell you need to get, it's impossible. Like, unless you are an actual creature that eats grass.
A rabbit?
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah, if you're a rabbit,
Mhm.
maybe it's okay. If you're
Sure.
not a rabbit, but you still want the benefits of getting real organic superfood as part of your diet, all the goodness and benefits that come from fruits and veggies, if that is you and you want that and you want it in a delicious tasting beverage that is way easier to consume than the amount of fruits and veggies they tell you that you need to, here is your answer. It's Field of Greens. It's a green powder that you just mix up in an 8-ounce glass of water, shake it up real well, and you've got yourself yummy fruit drink. And that is a way that you can get your fruits and veggies in. It is so delicious. Otherwise, I would not be telling you about it, because when they first approached us and said, "Would you like to try this?" I was like, "Green health powder?
Thank you. But no.
Thank you, but no."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not for me. They were like, "But just try it." And so I said, "Okay." And you were, of course, all about it because you'll try.
Yeah, I
anything.
loved it. I loved it. I'll try anything.
But then, how pleasantly surprised were you about the
Yeah.
taste?
I
Right?
have the one that's like yellow green and it tastes like sweet tea,
I mean,
which I love. I love
and
it.
this is like a blueberry fruit punch,
Mhm.
kind of. So, whatever you're taking as your daily supplement, that's great, but it's not enough. You
Mhm.
need to add this to your diet. You'll actually see differences in your lab results at the doctor's office. You'll feel more energy. You're going to see improvements in skin, hair, all of the things. This is miracle stuff right here. you can visit fogchicks, FOG chicks.com, and you can use code chicks to get 15% off your first order plus free rush shipping. So if you haven't had a chance to try it, now's a really great time. Get your 15% off, free shipping, and get healthy with fogchicks.com.
Let me tell you the story of, I'm thinking about so many of them. Let me tell you a story. I was with the head of the American Museum of the Smithsonian, and I was looking for specifically things about George Washington that were negative, because I can tell you that before Abraham Lincoln, his mom raised him. He was terrified of his father, but because his father was like, you will believe in Jesus, as he's beating him. He falls away from the church, and he goes dark. And there's a period of Abraham Lincoln's life where he's with prostitutes and everything that you've never heard about Abraham Lincoln, okay? But then he finds himself and he finds God, okay? I can find that stuff on anybody. I cannot find that stuff on George Washington. So I'm going to the Smithsonian to meet with the head of the curator of the American Museum. And I said, I'm desperately trying to find something on Washington that's bad, because I believe that you have to understand the story of America. You have to understand the Tuskegee experiments, and you have to understand the true meaning of the Declaration of Independence. Okay? All men are created equal. You have to understand both sides. If you're surprised by the bad things, all of a sudden America has no credibility. Okay?
Yeah.
Because, wait a minute, I didn't know about that. What else are they hiding?
Yeah.
So, what are you hiding about George Washington? He said, I have something. He said, but we've only found one thing. And I said, what is it? And he said, come here, I'll show you. And so he took me back into the archives, and he pulls out all these drawers, and there's just these little thin drawers, and he'd pull one out and he'd be like, oh, there's George Washington's, baptismal gown. And, here's this and here's that. And I'm like, okay. And he pulls out a deal, and it's a newspaper. And he says, this is the worst thing I can find on George Washington. And it's an editorial right before his second election. Okay. Somebody writes in that George Washington is a monster. And this person must know, because the editorial is written by his mother. Okay?
Oh,
his
my
mother
gosh.
was this his mother was this giant pain in the ass, where she was just like, she was a nightmare. And she always like, oh, George, you cannot leave me, you can't go away. No. All these stories of him just acquiescing, yes, mother dear, yes, mother dear.
Oh my gosh.
So she wants him back at Mount Vernon. And so she writes this editorial and says, you have no idea. You cannot elect this man again. He's the most extravagant man you have ever met, and you'd be horrified if you knew the details. Just the details, this is it. Just the details on how much this man spends on ice cream every month alone should disqualify him.
Oh my god!
And now we have Nancy Pelosi following in his footsteps.
And Biden. And Biden too.
Isn't that
with
great?
all the ice cream.
I
Oh
just
my gosh.
love that.
Brilliant.
Just love that.
Wow.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.